Transformations of linear and absolute value functions can occur in several ways. One way is where you're actually adding a number to your f of x. You could add or subtract the number depending upon if k is positive or negative. Another idea is where you can subtract or add a number from your x. Or you could take your f of x and multiply it by -1. So what's the impact of all three of these different cases? First idea is to make sure that you understand they are different. So you're taking a y here and you're adding a number to it. So that means that the f of x graph is either going to go up or it's going to go down. It's going to be transformed up or down by a factor of k. So if k is positive, it's going to go up by that number. If it's negative, it's going to go down by that number. If you're looking at this equation, again, the idea is what is h? Is it positive or negative? So notice that you're doing something with the x's. That means that instead of going up and down, you're going to be going to the right or you're going to go to the left. And that is going to depend on what your h is. So that's by h. In fact, if h in this situation is positive, it's going to go to the left. If it's negative, which means minus negative number, that's going to actually go to the left, to the right, excuse me. So notice that if h is a negative number, that's going to be x minus a negative number, which is x plus a number. And these actually have an opposite effect on the direction depending upon what the sign is. So it's a little bit counterintuitive in terms of which way it's shifting. The other idea, the transformation, is going to be where you multiply 1 by whatever your y value is. And when you multiply -1 by your y value, you're really flipping your y down over the x-axis. So that's going to reflect over the x-axis. Now, there are a lot of different problems that you can have on these. I'll just show you a few examples of these problems. If you look at this, this is basically starting with y equals the absolute value of x. And if you add 2 to your absolute value of x, notice it's going to shift up 2. Same exact graph, but shifted 2 up. Subtracting 2, it goes down 2. If you look at the absolute value of x and you subtract 2 off of your x, notice that you're shifting to the right 2. Now, one way to think about this is when x is equal to 2, y is going to be 0. So that's going to give you this point right here, 2, 0. On this case, where x is equal to 0, your y is equal to 0. Those are both minimum points because you can't have a negative number. It's either going to be 0 or it's going to be a positive number. So where each of these create a 0 case for your y, one is at 0 and the other one is at 2. They're both minimum points and shifted to the right. Notice if it's a positive, you're adding a number to your x. You're actually shifting it to the left. The other condition here is where you have a reflection over the x-axis. So if you're multiplying by -1, it's going to take all of these numbers and make them negative. So your y's that are positive become negative, and therefore it's a reflection down. So 3 different scenarios on transformations. One is where you're going to be adding a number to your f of x that goes up or down. You're going to be adding a positive or negative number to your x that's going to go left or right. And you're going to be multiplying by -1 times your f of x. That's going to be reflecting over the x-axis.